Good day, everyone. Good day, good night, good night. So, this isn't going to be your regular episode from us. This is actually just going to be a nice, chill sit down as we go and discuss how basically all of the markets are currently crashing from the S&P 500 to crypto to gold. Like it's just everything just looks like a bloodbath, and tonight we're just going to discuss that and figure out why is it happening and what is this impact going to be and how is it going to affect you, right? So first and foremost, Lamont, we see that something happened with Trump, discussing something about tariffs. What is it that you could tell us, like what happened?
Well, first of all, something was happening with Trump. Well, good night, everyone. Donald Trump, he just went off the handle. He went on his website that no one's on besides him and other Republicans, Truth Socials, and he announced that they plan to impose heavy tariffs on China. So we have this tariff talk come again, like that's happening the earlier part of the year where they announced it and markets are sent all topsy turvy. And basically he said if China retaliates, it's gonna be worse for them. This, that, and the third. He's gonna make it worse for them. So yeah, so right now markets are responding. People are losing money. Um, People are selling off their stocks. They're selling off their crypto. So that's a lot of what's going on now. It's just that because he decided to fly off the handle and talk about these 100% tariffs on China, everyone is like, okay, this is getting crazy now. So that's basically the gist of what's happening. But it's always something with Donald Trump, and it goes back to if you're gonna follow the stock market and all that, you got to pay attention a lot to geopolitics. Like I'm a person, I don't really like to get into politics, but politics is a
Uh,
big part of what goes on when it comes to the money. Like it's a huge part of it.
my thing is right. I'm
Mhm.
reading here where the S&P had lost $700 billion of market cap in 3 minutes.
Mhm.
At
Yeah, I think it was
10
like I think
at
it was like
10:57 at 10:57, President Trump published a massive paragraph about China saying a massive increase in tariffs is coming. And at 11 o'clock a.m., 3 minutes later, the S&P 500 had already erased $700 billion in market cap. That
yeah,
is crazy.
yeah. Basically, people are selling off. You have individuals selling off. Then you get like a lot of hedge funds and investment funds selling off because it's all like a it's all like a compounding effect or like a trickle down effect, right? So if
Mm.
Donald Trump imposes these tariffs on China, right, it it increases the cost of materials, raw materials, cost of doing business because a lot of these companies like Nvidia and all these tech companies, they get a lot of their chips and supplies from China, so it's going to be more expensive for them to bring it in. And so, oh, what's it go say?
Could
Sorry,
be.
that was awkward. That was awkward. It just caught
But
me off
yeah,
guard. It's like, all right, we go shoot paranormal activity. All right.
I know, man. I know what to say.
That was
Continue.
awkward.
Tell me what's
Yeah,
up.
but yeah, so basically, companies are like people are selling off their stocks in these companies. A lot of them would make up the S&P 500 because remember, investors hate uncertainty. When you have the
Hmm.
leader of a country waking up one morning, 10 something on a Friday, saying, hey, we about to impose tariffs and blah, blah. Where did this come from? It wasn't no talks about this the entire week. This dude randomly woke up on a Friday and say, we imposing tariffs. Like, that's random. And people don't, when it comes to a lot of like high scale investing, investors don't like randomness, right? They like a level of degree of certainty because now the question is, what is China going to do in retaliation? Even though we say if they retaliate, blah, blah, China has a lot of power. Mind you, China is not as big an economic power as the United States, but they are the second largest economy in the world. So
Hmm.
what we are basically the two largest economies going back and forth right now, and that is dangerous on a global scale. And realistically, this is gonna have global impact. This is just gonna be the US or whatever, because they control so much of our general economies on like global trade and all that. So this gonna have a big effect. But what about you? Like, what are your thoughts on it? Like, what do you think about this? Like, what do you think about the leader of the free world just waking up on a random Friday morning? Everybody just trying to make it to the end of the week, and he just decided he gonna start another round of this trade war.
Hold up. So what I think about it is, see, I actually have a article right here. Let me um share it right quick, right? All right. So basically, you see how it says Donald Trump has threatened to impose additional US tariffs of 100% on China from next month, accusing Beijing of very hostile moves to restrict export of rare earths needed for American industry. Wall
Yeah, rare
Street
minerals
fell
and stuff.
sharply. Wall Street fell sharply after the U.S. president reignited public tensions with the Chinese government and raised the prospect of another acrimonious trade war between the world's two largest economies. Over the summer, relations had improved between Washington and Beijing, and Trump agreed to drastically reduce the steep tariffs imposed on China earlier this year following negotiations between the two countries. This is the part that had me thinking, right? Late on Friday, however, the president threatened to ratchet them back up by imposing a 100% tariff on goods from China over and above any existing tariffs. This would happen on the 1st of November or sooner, he said. So this part is what actually had me confused because it sounds like this was pre-planned. This sounds like he I don't know what would have gone wrong, because if they're saying that relations would have improved, you would expect that things would have been better or what's not. But it's obvious that something else was going on, and that mindset had changed.
Yeah. Um.
But then
Donald Trump is a
it
really
says
volatile
this would have
individual.
happened on November.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Donald Trump is a really volatile
So
individual. Uh,
mhm.
yeah, and I thought, like you mentioned, in the article, I thought relationships had cooled down. I thought that whole tariff talk was over. Like, I know they were like gonna impose tariffs, but I didn't think it would have been like this, like triple digit tariffs, like 100% and all that. Because remember when they was going back and forth, like, oh, we doing 120, okay, we doing 140, blah blah. Like they was going bond for bond, but right now it's like I thought everything was cool. I know what's going on behind the scenes, but looked like it was gonna be the beef back on.
I think honestly, part of me feels as if there's a greater setup trying to happen. I feel as if, because I'm also looking at the period of it happening. This is October. Usually
Mm-hmm.
a time when you expect people to actually be buying and prices to really go up. And then we are moving slowly into the Christmas season. That's usually the kind of season where a lot of the markets would go up.
Yeah.
So this kind of situation going down, once again, I think that it could possibly be manipulation. Um, because it's like so random and out of the blue. And
Yeah.
with everything going down, I mean, like, this is a perfect opportunity for people to just, scoop up whatever assets they are looking for from, because on one end, you have a lot of the people. I'm pretty sure before he did this, someone on his team um, possibly knew that, hey, things are going down, and
Hello? Right, fiction. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Yes. It's love. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No more. Hey, you get me? Hey, you get me? Hey, Nelson, you get me? No, let me see something. You can use
All right, so we having some technical difficulties.
All right, let me see something.
All right, internet back up. Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. You get me?
Yeah, I can hear
All right.
you. All right, so that was a whole situation.
No, no. It's Donald Trump. I'm trying to keep us down. You see, Donald Trump is like these guys talking about my tariffs. Bitch. Also. Sorry, no, I was watching this video. This place ain't getting knocked down. Oh lord, that's sound bad voice when they say it like that. Yeah, this
All right.
person like is an insurance scammer. Yeah, so they get knocked down.
So where will we anyway?
Yeah, we just talking about Trump. You know why he trying to crash the market, so his boys and come and buy up all the stock, crypto for cheap, so they get richer. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean that's
usual.
listen. That's the thing, right? This particular market, if you really want to be honest, this particular market is way different from most markets that we've had, especially when it comes to crypto. Reason being is because now that institutional investors are a part of it, there's a lot more manipulation happening, and it's
Hmm.
moving in very weird patterns. Like all of a sudden, when was the last time we saw the S&P crash this bad or gold
Um, I don't think when the last
or
time
crypto?
what is S&P? Oh no, you go crypto. Crypto had some slides now. Crypto had some slides,
Crypto,
son.
okay, crypto had
November
some slides, right?
2022 was a bloodbath game. November 2022.
Fair, no, fair,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
when you really look at it,
This
when
I
you
don't
really
think
look
this the
at it,
worst. I don't think this the worst. It's just the worst in recent time, probably for the year. But
no,
to see
it's
when you
not.
talking about crashes,
Hmm.
yeah, this is a slide, right? But when you talk about crashes, you talking about the 2008 financial crisis, like
I
that type.
we ain't there yet.
Yeah,
We ain't there yet. We ain't
no, we ain't.
we ain't
This
it.
is stuff.
We
It's a
ain't it.
slip.
This is a slip. My point.
It's a
My point
stumble.
is. My point is right. Overall, for it to affect so many markets at one time, it's just absolutely
Yeah,
bonkers. But it's
yeah,
pertaining to crypto, especially, it just seems to be that the market is moving in ways that no one can predict, you know?
yeah.
And truth be told, I remember another friend of ours who's a trader was talking about how, say, listen, it's really and truly best to just go and buy your crypto. This is not financial advice, but it's really best to just go and buy your crypto and just hold it and just wait a couple of years before you go and sell it, because this right
Mhm.
here, trade inside this particular market is wild. Okay, this is the first time we've ever had. No, like think about it. This is the first time we've ever had a president that is in crypto, and I want you to understand the power of that. The man has already brought on. Okay, we had Trump coin, which was basically a meme coin. From that meme coin, he already done made millions, right? Well, millions or billions. I'm not even too sure, right? Then every single member of his family got their own coin, made their millions,
Yeah.
and that's that. Like that's straight up. Like, listen, this is the most, this is the most strategic way to fleece a country, dog. That's a
They
bit of
fleece the
grass.
country. Yeah, like yeah, I'm not throwing out any accusations, right? Because then you got to think about like market manipulation, and that is very difficult to prove, right? Because with market manipulation, you got to talk about intent. But I mean, the writing's on the wall. I mean, this guy just wake up on a Friday and say, "Man, listen, let me spice things up," right? I do 100% tariff, right? Markets drop. Next couple of weeks, he can come out. Oh, I had talks with oh Lord, I got Xi Jinping, the Chinese Communist Party leader. I had talks to them. Blah blah. We came to an agreement. Um, Cooler heads prevailed, and the market's back up. Everybody rich again. Then it could be something else. But you know how Trump goes, man. That's kind of like the ebbs and flows with them.
I Here's the thing. I understand that. I understand that, but I also want you to understand this is the president of the Western free
Um,
world who
yeah,
has the power. Like, think about a crypto influencer. Think about a crypto influencer. A crypto influencer actually has the influence to make some things go up and down. Now, take that
yeah,
and amplify that by the president of the United States. I am in charge of
yeah,
an entire country, and I can make a coin. I could either destroy a market or build it up, bro. On a regular
yeah,
Friday, I could wake up out of my bed, say, you know what? I just ain't cool with China. And all of a sudden, markets bend to your will, bro.
yeah. Let me see them. Let me Google something because I am interested to know how the Chinese stock market performed today.
Hmm.
Shanghai Composite Index. All right, the last thing I see is
But here's just while you're looking for that for the viewers, like here are just some of the reasons why this is concerning, right? So tariff escalations is not the tariff escalation is not linear. So raising import taxes by 100% is huge. If other countries retaliate, that could create a cascade of trade disruptions and countermeasures. Critical materials and tech exposure. China has significant control over rare earths and some materials vital for electronics, batteries, defense, etc. A disruption in those supplies can have outsized ripple effects on many industries. Threats to diplomacy and trade talks. Canceling or threatening to cancel meetings with I forget what his name was. Xi Jinping?
Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping undermines confidence that diplomacy can resolve matters. Markets often priced in hopes of deal and hopes of de-escalation. Now, any stretched valuations and fragile confidence. Even before this, many observers were warning that stock valuations were risky and that investor sentiment was brittle. A shock like this can trigger sharper moves downwards. So it's a lot of it touches on a lot of different areas because you're basically um and just like how you said earlier, like China, a lot of things come from China. Whether we want to
Mm,
admit it or not, right? China is the number one exporter of like lots of the goods that Americans really need. A lot of business owners, that's where they get their things from. So it's like
mm.
you making those tariffs on China and China retaliates. Listen, but yeah,
Yeah,
did you find what you were looking
yeah.
for?
So it looked today the China Shanghai Composite Stock Market Index. So the HK50, I guess, is the top 50 companies in Hong Kong. They're down 1.73%. The Shanghai is down 0.94%. CSI 300 is down 1.97%. Shanghai 50 down 1.51%. And China 50 is down 1.87%. So it look like they're, I don't know the exact like monetary valuations, but it looked like they're trading in some of the same percentages as like the S&P and the Dow Jones and all that. So it looked like they're getting hit as well.
Hmm.
But with that news, because it. But the thing is, the question I have, right? Because I
Hmm.
know America gets a lot of its goods from China. I want to know how reliant is China on American goods. So, like, if America would stop exporting to China as much, would they feel the same brunt that Americans would feel? That's something what I question. That's something I'll have to do some research on it and figure out exactly how it would impact China because they seem like if we get everything from them, they should be somewhat self-sustainable. And I know they have a lot of investments and a lot of stuff dealing with like Caribbean and Africa, especially Africa. They have a toll in
Hmm.
Africa, so it would actually be interesting to see if they was to slow down trade from America to China, whether that would have a real serious impact on their economy. That's a question I'll have to find out.
I think I think it would. I think it would. I think that um you have to keep in mind, right? It's just the way that the business works where although China does have a lot of the raw materials and are able to build a lot of the things that Americans are that a lot of the things Americans, sell and what's not. You have to keep in mind that is a livelihood for them as well. So they would be losing a lot
Mm-hmm.
of business. They would
That
be
is true.
losing a ton of business with that. Honestly speaking, I think no one wins. Sincerely
Yeah,
speaking, I don't think anyone wins.
yeah, in a world where like we're this globally connected, a trade war really, and I understand, like, kind of understand Trump's point of view because it's like he kind of probably feel like America's getting the short end of the stick in certain deals, and
Hmm.
like their whole thing is America first. They're trying to put Americans first over everything. But when you have like I mentioned earlier, when you have the two largest economies in the world fighting, like that's gonna just it isn't gonna have a positive impact on global trade. It won't. Like a lot of different, like even back when it was serious, the Bahamas was in a really precarious situation because at the end of the day, we are 30 minutes away from the United States. 85% of our tourists come from the United States. What happens in the US economy impacts us. So technically, it's like we are on the American side, whether we like it or not. We have to be due to our proximity and, the way how our economy is set up.
Hmm.
So what I was like, thing I pitched when I did a video on that was I was saying that the Bahamas really need to start looking at like Caribbean countries, and the problem is we're just like virtue of how our resources are set up, we're so dependent on outside sources. I was gonna say Caribbean countries really have to consider working together more cohesively to actually create systems where we don't have to depend on outside parties. But all that is time. All that takes time and development and infrastructure. It takes a lot of money and investment. And Bahamas, we're in a weird spot because we accept a lot of money from China. We accept a lot of foreign direct investment from China, but 85% of our tourists to support our industry come from the United States. So it's like like we just you know
If we got to pick a
we
side, we
sleeping with
done
the
for.
we sleeping with the enemy in that sense. You know,
But that's
so
where I agree with you because that's where we need to be more sustainable for ourselves. Like we have to be self-sustainable. And ironically, we have literally all of the resources to do it, but we don't. That's a different conversation for a different day. But yeah,
yeah. See, the
that's that.
problem is you want me to tell you what the problem is? Y'all don't want to vote in a certain person, right?
Hmm.
Who could benefit from our natural resources and give us each $100,000? That's the real problem.
When you find that particular person, I would be happy
All right.
to vote for that particular person.
You
But
know what I mean.
I don't I know who you could be referring to, but
So what is your vote,
but
man? We getting our $100,000.
per
40
person,
acres and a mule. All right. Yeah, per person.
per
Right.
person. But for
GDP
real
is
though,
gonna skyrocket.
but for real though, when you start to talk about the economics of the Bahamas and what we could be producing and what's not, yo, we got the sun, the sand, and the sea, bro. Like literally, we have everything that is needed to basically
I
be able to
remember
trade with others to figure it out and brings in more jobs. But we don't.
every time I pay BPL, right? I just remember this conversation with Robert F. Smith is.
No, I don't know.
He is like either he's the there's a point in time when he was the wealthiest black person in America, like a couple of years ago. He
Hmm.
runs a private equity firm, Vista Equity Partners, right? I followed him for a long time. He used to follow me on Instagram actually. That was
Dope.
that was the funniest thing. He don't follow me no more because he was
Uh,
like a very private person, and I must have made a post or something talking about him. And when he
uh,
made his Instagram, he followed me,
mm-hmm,
and this is like his first like 1,000 people he followed or whatever. But he was talking about like when he visited the Bahamas, and he said our energy infrastructure is one of the stupidest things he ever saw. Right? He was
mm-hmm,
at a conference. He was talking about it because he said we get 300 days of sunshine and we don't utilize it effectively. We basically we just hot for nothing essentially. We have 300 days of sunshine. We have no solar, like no real solar grids to say on a commercial scale, on a wide scale to provide solar power. Like most of the people you know have solar, they do it for like their own house or something like that. It's very
mm-hmm,
individualistic. It isn't like, all right, we have a grid out on an island or in a certain deserted area where we have a power grid powering the entire Bahamas. It isn't like that because when you look at it, we still burning diesel, and he mentioned that's like we still burning diesel in 2025. Like we have so much technology where we could get off of diesel, and
mm-hmm,
is just so interesting that we still in that thing, right? But he was saying, and I don't want to too much get into this, but he's like a lot of it has to do with the political climate, how the politicians set up a lot of these deals because they set up a lot of these deals with foreign companies and all that. So a lot of these companies is almost like we kind of like stuck in a loop paying them in the weird ways, or like we stuck in these weird contracts. But he's like most of it is corruption, and I'm not gonna get into that. But he said that's
mm-hmm.
pretty much what he thinks it is just corruption because it isn't efficient at all. It isn't efficient for us to be paying so much for diesel and fuel, and citizens having to pay a lot for power bills. Because I don't know if you just be looking at the bill, but it's being insane. Like the month over month jumps, it's
Mm-hmm.
being insane, and it isn't just a price aspect. Because even from like one month to the next, I looked at the price had risen by like 8%, but the price of the fuel had risen by like 20 or 30%. So I was like, it's just saying, okay, y'all, just because is the um your equipment like your AC and all that just working harder because it's harder. But people don't want to hear that, but like people don't want to hear that. And I think definitely our energy infrastructure is something we gotta look at. I think that's something that has to be reformed urgently. Like that has to be reformed urgently in this country because it doesn't make, like you say, it doesn't make no sense. 300 days of sunshine and y'all not using it, you know?
That is. What do you say his name was again?
Robert F. Smith. I saying the video right now.
Robert F. Smith. Because I remember seeing a video where it's like he said that was this guy was saying like that is one of the dumbest things ever. Wait, he's a billionaire, right?
Yeah, man.
I
You've
think
been a
I
millionaire.
think I think I might know who you're talking about. But anyway,
Yeah.
though, what I'd say is, to our audience, that's time for us. We just wanted a nice jam talk just to talk about this whole Trump situation and how it's affecting various markets, not even just crypto. If you want more content like this, just hit us up, tap the comments. We know we know some situations that happen during this podcast, i.e. the ghosts. But
Yeah. Anyway,
definitely.
you gotta be careful what we say because Trump revoking visas and things like say they may put us in the back room and say, "Oh, when we go for our visa application, they can say they can just play the podcast and they can play that same clip. They can just sit down there and say that right. They can just play the podcast and that clip. So
uh
you know you won't get no visa, right?
yeah.
They can put you in a dark room, bring the computer, open it. So what you had to say about us? All right, you don't get no visa. Go to China. Go ask China for your visa.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But hey guys, you guys have a wonderful night. This is just a slow jam session. Just wanted to talk about it. So peace and see you on the next
Yo,
podcast. The actual podcast, not this. All right.
let's say we
Have a
can do
good
another
one.
live sorter, right? All right.
All right.